Hi,
Hello,
and welcome.
we're your hosts,
I'm Alix.
and I'm Kat.
You found the two PFFs you didn't know you needed, but you're glad you have.
Congratulations, you have found your people.
Enjoy the ride as we navigate what it's like to
Live out loud.
Hi,
Hey,
how's it going?
it's good. How are you?
I am doing just fine.
Just fine.
Just fine. I just have loved our weather lately of like all this rain. We've needed it so bad. And now I have more basil than I know what to do with because
Nice.
it's
You
literally,
sound fine.
yeah, it's become a bush. Like I started with 4 basil plants, which I feel like was a lot for my household anyway.
Uh-huh.
And now I've got like 3.5 basil bushes.
Nice.
And I can't keep up with it. So I'm about to both send the love your way and be like, neighbors, please pay me for this basil of mine because
Listen, I will take some off your hands for sure.
I've got so
Because,
much.
my garden did not happen this year. Speaking of goals, it just hasn't happened. But, there's always fall. I can plant a fall garden. It's fine.
Oh, 100%. I had
yeah.
ambitions for a garden too, and we got stuck with an herb garden, and that's okay.
Life. It's fine. Life be lifing. It just does.
For real,
So,
for real.
it's our monthly check-in.
Woohoo!
How are we doing with our goals? I will have to say my goals have radically shifted in the past 3 weeks. We don't usually go here on our podcast, but probably should have warned you ahead of time. But I just honestly, and I hesitate to say things like this because of my religious background, and I do not like being that person. But that if I say this, I really mean it.
Yep.
I feel like for the past 3 to 4-ish weeks that God has been coming after me really, really hard. In a speaking to me way. You know what I mean? Where that hasn't, it's not that it's not ever happened before, but it's been undeniable.
Yeah.
Not sometimes you can be like, was that the Holy Spirit? Or was that just did I read that yesterday?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This has been oh no, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I know that's not usually where we go on the pod, but I don't know, that's just been happening to me lately, and it has kind of radically changed I guess my priorities, which has changed my goals.
Fair.
So I would say that I didn't really reach any goals in the month of July, but I accomplished a lot, if that makes sense. I didn't set out to be this is a goal and this is a goal and this is a goal. I traveled a lot in July, and spent a lot of time in prayer and just surrounded by people that I haven't been around for a while, and I really needed it. And so I accomplished a great deal. It wasn't written down. And I'm halfway tempted. You know how sometimes you do things and then you go make your to-do list just so you can mark those things off?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. That's like an ADHDer's life hack.
It's I want to feel accomplished, but I already unloaded the dishwasher, but I'll put it on here anyway just so I can mark it off.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, and that's it's it kind of goes back to what we talked about a few goal check-ins ago of sometimes they shift, which is good, but it's a soul shift. It's a soul refreshing shift. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in July, you had a lot of time in nature with God. You had a lot of time with people and who I embody the love of Christ.
Yes.
It's been a really good month in terms of refreshing you in that sense, in a way that you haven't experienced in a really long time.
No, that I have not. And the thing about it is that it's for multiple reasons, right? Like, it's not that like God ever wants to stop speaking,
No, yeah.
but a lot of times, like, we're just not in a place to receive it, or to do with it what we need to do or whatever. And I saw this thing on I think it was Instagram today, and it was talking about childhood trauma. Excuse me. And it said, hang on, I'm pulling it up so that I can say it correctly. This lady who like works with she's like a counselor, works with trauma and stuff a lot, and she says experiencing abandonment, shaming, or constant criticism as a child can cause us to become adults who are begging to be chosen. I've never felt a sentence more in my life. We might hopelessly believe that if someone chooses us in adulthood, then perhaps our hurtful parents were wrong about us, that maybe we are in fact lovable. This reaction is normal and a natural response to parental rejection in childhood. So no, you're not clingy, desperate, or too much, beloved. You are just trying to heal what hurts.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap. I read that and I was like, okay, I feel seen. But also, it struck me, that we've had a lot of conversations off pod about just some of the experiences that I've had this month. And it got me to thinking, no amount of somebody showing you love will ever change your perspective on whether or not you're lovable until you truly believe that you're lovable, right? Like, you've got to do that deep work through therapy and through, for me, it was like a lot of Jesus and a lot of therapy, right? I believe that you need both. Okay.
Preach.
And so until that space healed, because I looked for it, I looked for love, I looked for love, I looked for love, and not a romantic love. I had that, but I mean, I looked for like family and mothering and just this bond that I needed, right? And I looked 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 and I looked, but and it would come in my life and then I would kill it. It would come in my life and I would kill it. Well, why was I doing that? I was doing that because that place needed to heal first.
Yeah.
Right. And so now that thing is healed, now I can receive the love that people give me, and it's not dying, right? I'm not smothering it to death like couples retreat where they like squeeze the puppy too tight, That's an analogy they use a couples retreat. It's hilarious to squeeze the puppy to death. But anyway, so all that to say is that it has definitely been a heart shift. It has definitely been something. It's brought back goals and desires that I've always had, but that I have pushed off to the side because I didn't feel like I could. I didn't feel like I was enough. I felt like I was too much, right? Like, I mean, all those things that we really try to combat on the pod, right? And so it's just been like, no, now is the time. You've got to brush these off. You've got to bring these back out. Like, it's time to do that. And in order for me to go there, right? In order for me to do those things, some of the other goals have to come off the table. Right? Because not that the other goals are bad. It's just that you only have so much time and you only have so much energy and, whatnot. So like some of the other goals have to take a back seat so that, these other things can come forward, if that makes sense. And my health is still a goal. It's still a priority because we need our health in everything that we do, right? We need to stay healthy and whatnot. But, anyway, that's my check-in. My check-in is that my goals have shifted, and I'll let you know next month what's happening.
No, I love it because I was thinking about July, and I feel like it just kind of like disappeared in a lot of ways. Like it just kind of like ran away, and I was like, did I accomplish like literally anything this month? And I was nervous, like, to come into this conversation because I was like, I really truly like don't know. And I felt like I was gonna come into it being like, okay, like I did this, so like we're gonna add that to the checklist so I can just like cross it off. But for me, like I looked back at my list and just did some reflection and observing, and I was like, oh, July wasn't really all that bad in terms of like coming back to like my true goals and like what I truly like kind of tried to align myself with at the beginning of the year, which is wild to think that was 6 months ago. And it's been a crazy year, but the biggest thing I wanted to do is get back into like my fitness and that sort of thing. And I started walking, which has been awesome. And my goal, I was like, I know was very specific, and I wanted to start like walking about 2.5 miles when I did walk at least 3 times a week. And I like have snailed that for like the last probably 2 or 3 weeks now, which is like really exciting. Because that's a long walk.
Yeah.
But it's also given me a chance to like meditate and reflect. And I have gotten into like meditating, which has been something that's been truly super difficult for me, coming from a religious background, because I never could sit still long enough, or be quiet or whatever. And like I say, like my religious background, because like the prayer closet and like praying was always really hard for me. I was like, I just do that all the time. Like I'm always, I feel like, in conversation with God, or at least I felt like that a long time ago. But I was like, I can't just sit still and like be the person that wakes up early and like spends time with God. Like I just never have been that person. Mostly because I can't keep my brain quiet for 5 seconds. And I've been using my walks in the morning to meditate, and in particular to Lil Jon's meditation album, which is like ironically hilarious, but incredibly well, like for the soul. Like it just works so well. And Lil Jon, for those who don't know, is the Windows to the Wall singer, rapper. So, but it goes to the reason.
The rest of the night, thank you.
You're welcome. And then you can meditate to him in the morning, and just your life will change. But or not meditate to him, meditate with him. But it all goes back to like, it kind of ties both of our goals together in a very, very, very strange way, because everyone was like, why are you doing this? Like, you're a rapper. Like, he hasn't come out with an album in a really, really long time. But he's dropped 2 meditation and like abundance, like affirmation albums this year. And he was like, people asked me why I was successful, and people asked me why I was so calm and good at what I did. And I hid that part of myself for so long because it felt weird and like out there. And he was like, but I would just tell people I meditated. I just told I told people I talked kindly to myself, and I did my affirmations. And he's like, people just make it complicated. And he's like, I realized I could reach an audience that would otherwise never be reached, because they listen to me and other rappers like me, and find clarity and reach their goals and their visions through meditation and like positive affirmations. And I was like, what the heck? And this guy's like making tonics, he's making like oils, he's like fully embraced this like woo-woo hippie side of him, which I definitely identify with on some occasion. But he, in a way, like ties it all together, just like you never know what you're gonna end up doing. Yeah. He never expected himself to be dropping meditation and affirmation albums, but he's just doing it. Yeah. And like helping people and guiding people who might otherwise like be uncomfortable. And like it's helped me see like, okay, like let's not make it complicated. I can say nice things about myself while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm sitting on the toilet, while I'm laying in bed in the middle of the night. It doesn't have to be like these little pockets of time that I carve out and like make it complicated.
And the same thing goes for prayer.
Exactly.
I love that. Prayer doesn't have to be some complicated, long drawn out, pretty word. Like you got to sound beautiful doing it. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think I love this. I have to look up the Lil Jon meditation now, because like, I love this. I love everything about this. Okay. I love everything about it, because I love the message that you can step out of what you're doing and help people that otherwise wouldn't get this help, but you know that they'll listen to you because they've been listening to you, and you can reach your fan base in a new way. I think that's amazing. I think the church could learn a lot from it. And then the whole prayer thing is the number one thing I teach my kids, is like, is there a time that you need to go and be dedicated in prayer and really focus in? Sure. Absolutely. 100%. Same thing with meditating. There's going to be a time where you really need to sit and focus and whatever. Right. But most of the time, it's kind of like a friendship.
Mm.
Kind of like friendship. Sometimes we need a one-on-one where we can just sit and talk and laugh and cry and whatever it is that we need to do. But that's not everyday friendship. Everyday friendship is memes back and forth on multiple platforms in different ways of saying I love you, right?
So many
Or
platforms.
this is our therapy, right? So prayer is the same way. It's like if you want to have a relationship, right? It doesn't have to be some deep, complicated thing. And I think that's where we lose it on a lot of different areas of our life. I think it's where we lose it on affirmations. I think it's where we lose it on prayer. I think it's where we lose it on relationships, even. I think that's where we lose it. And that is totally not the point of today's podcast, but I got on a tangent.
No, it's good. There's also a mega storm happening right now, and
There is a lightning.
The lightning is crazy. It's hella distracting, but it's partially why I took my glasses off. Because I kept seeing it in the reflections. But I think that's why I love these goal podcasts, or the check-ins, mostly because it always has a way of wrapping back to goals, but also the tentacles that are goals, and we spend only one time of the year really talking about them, but life happens and things happen that cause us to change our goals. Life happens that cause us to increase our goals and change things up, because we're ever changing and ever growing, and the person that we were in January isn't the person that we are now, but she helped us get here. And I don't know, we make everything so complicated. And I think if we were to boil this episode down to that, I think it would be quit making it complicated. Just spend time with the Lord. You'll be refreshed.
Just do it.
Just do it. And exactly. And don't make it complicated. Just include it in those things that you do every day, and it'll come. It got me thinking about this podcast and where we wanted it to go, and being disappointed and also grateful and all the things, and thinking about the rooms that we're in, the listeners that we do have. I imagine us all sitting in a room together, and it would be a really full room. And we get so wrapped up in just likes and follows and all of this stuff. But if you think about it, it's okay, you have 1,400 followers on your Instagram. Imagine all 1,400 of those people in a room listening to what you have to say.
Yeah.
And there's a unique part that there's at least one person who can get something from it, and that's valuable.
It is.
And just figuring out who that one person is,
right?
And not making the things that you're trying to do complicated. Just slowly bringing them in, or adding. You don't realize you're doing it. I've thought this whole time, I was July wasn't it, but I was hey, I did my walks. I started really focusing on breath work and meditation.
You started posting your fitness polls on Instagram again.
Yep.
Showing up in that space.
Yep. I'm still doing my medicine and my skincare every day. I've started reading at night again. That was a goal of mine, was to get back into reading. So don't discredit yourself, those who are listening, and I guess us. Don't discredit yourself in the little work that you feel like you're doing, because you're doing a lot more than you think you are.
Well, and that's really how you fill up a bucket, right? Is a few drops at a time, right? And it's when we start to get overwhelmed and think that we got to fill up the whole bucket right now, that a lot of us stop, because oh, well, that's too much. We can't possibly do that. But little drops at the time, your skincare you do every day, and then it doesn't seem like such a big task anymore. Or you go on your walk every day and it doesn't seem so big anymore. So then you have room for something else. It's huge. And talking about the podcast, we have something to share with our listeners, in that we are going to take the entire month of August. We will do our goal check-in at the end of August, but we're taking the entire month of August off. And why are we doing that? Well, we are looking to recalibrate a little too much. We are looking to get some rest in August, because rest is a vital component to creativity. It is a vital component to doing our best and meeting our goals. And you will hear us say that on this podcast a lot, is that rest is important. So we are going to be taking that time off to rest and really focus on creating episodes for the fall and the winter that we are going to be really excited about. We are going to be coming back with an episode every week starting in September.
Yeah.
And so we have to take some time to prep and get ready for that. And so that is why we are taking some time off, and we will miss you guys, but we will be back and better than ever. And we are super excited about the things to come. And we want you to remember that if you are crushing your goals, or if you are just surviving right now, either of those is okay. Because you are worthy and you are important. And sometimes life is lifing, and you can't check off everything on your to-do list. You can't reach every goal you set out for yourself. But we would encourage you that what is one thing, what is one step, what is one thing you can do, even in survival mode, what is one thing you can do that sets you up for better success tomorrow, so that eventually you can get out of survival mode and start reaching your goals again. Whatever that is, 5 minutes outside, you know, 1 minute where you at least put moisturizer on your face at night, you know, whatever it is, one thing, one step. And I would love for you to comment and tell us what your one thing is, because it's important, right? The one next step. I follow a lady who does a podcast called The Next Right Thing. Like, what is that next thing, right? But remember that no matter what it is, that you are not too much.
Not too much.
You're not too little.
Not too little.
You are just enough.
Just enough.